WCBI News at 10 starts now.
One man is facing some serious charges after being caught in the act of a burglary. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Selena Schaefer. Noxubee County Sheriff Terry Grassery says 20-year-old Chris Reed of Noxubee County is charged with burglary of a church and home. The suspect was caught burglarizing a home off Highway 388 in Brooksville. Deputies connected him to the burglary of Mennonite Church, also in Noxubee County as well. Reed is at the Noxubee County Jail. No bond has been set yet. One man went from being the victim to the suspect of a crash early this morning. The Oxford Police Department says a man allegedly claimed his truck had been stolen. Officers later found the truck Sunday morning. It had been wrecked at South 8th and Fillmore Avenue. Once officers brought the supposed victim to the scene, he finally admitted that the vehicle had not been stolen and in fact he had wrecked and left the scene. The Oxford Police Department says the man is lucky to be alive and will be facing some charges as well. Lawmakers are still trying to decide if domestic abuse is ground for divorce in the state of Mississippi. The House passed 2 divorce bills earlier in the legislative session, one that would address domestic violence as grounds for divorce. Then a no-fault divorce bill surfaced on the Senate desk, both of which were killed. This week, and both the House and Senate drafted 2 separate bills in regards to domestic abuse, and lawmakers say hopefully this time something will stick.
That was just this week, so we'll see how those 2 bills are resolved between the 2 chambers.
Well, I don't really see why that was an issue. I think that, that should be a grounds for divorce. Anytime you have any kind of situation like that as it results to domestic violence, it shouldn't have been an issue.
The new bill will be reviewed later in the session. Improving roads and bridges in Mississippi is also a message that lawmakers at the Capitol are working towards funding. There's funding the Senate Bill 2939, and this bill would give $50 million in bonds, $25 million for counties and $25 million for cities, with additional money given for road and bridge repair. Now, the entire road project would run the state an estimated $150 million to $175 million. Both Representative Tyrone Ellis and Jay Hughes say it's important for the Senate to pass this bill to give the community basic essentials that they deserve.
We don't even know what the Senate is going to do. The Senate may or may not accept that bill that we're sending over there. If they just refuse, if they decide to reject it, we'll be back to square one. So we're just hoping that they would at least consider it so we can get to conference and hash it out and try to make some improvements on our roads and our bridges.
The most surprising thing is that with all of the issues we have going on with mental health, with health care, with public education, roads and bridges, that we spent several hours debating a bill whether or not children could have water on a school bus. And there's been no legislation to slow down massive tax cuts, no legislation to generate revenue. We're simply cutting basic government services.
The additional money for the roads and bridges project would come from the tax Mississippi is already collecting from out-of-state purchases. Well, it's now time to turn it over to weather for our first look with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, how's everybody's spring break shaping up?
What's spring break? We're working for spring break. Well, right now in Columbus and all of our viewing area, we are mainly clear. There's that bright full moon, 46 degrees. In Columbus right now, but temperatures are all over the place right now. 35 in Louisville, 45 in Tupelo, 37 in Corinth. Our average load tonight about 35, but let's just go with about mid to upper 30s tonight. Clouds will gradually fill on in. Our next system is approaching. Look at all these clouds. Rain showers here in Missouri. That will be our weather for tomorrow. Umbrellas tomorrow, coats tomorrow. It will be a chilly day and a chilly week. The full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks for the update there, Keith. Well, colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer in the United States, but is also preventable and treatable if caught early. Tonight, in part 2 of our series for Colon Cancer Awareness Month, WCBI's Allie Martin introduces us to a local teacher who knows the importance of getting checked at the first signs of trouble.
Mary Pat Hancock is right at home with her 3rd grade students. Hancock teaches at Saltillo Elementary and has a passion for her work. She says teaching energizes her, but last year the longtime educator noticed she was not feeling 100%. She went to her doctor, who referred her to the Tupelo-based digestive health specialists.
So on January 20th, I had my first colonoscopy at age 47. And Dr. Amon is my doctor, and he came in and he said, everybody needs to take a deep breath. We have seen some cancer, and we're going to go ahead and send you to a surgeon.
Hancock underwent surgery to remove the cancer. She did not need chemo or radiation because the cancer was discovered in its early stages thanks to the colonoscopy. Hancock was out of the classroom for about 2 months, but is now back to a full workload. And Hancock says the colonoscopy is not painful and can be a lifesaver.
You get a very good nap. You get a lot of private time. You get to rest when you get home. There's just really nothing to it.
That was her message recently to guests at the annual Blue Tie Affair. The event is a fundraiser for NMMC's Cancer Center Care Fund. She shared her story and says it is her mission to educate as many people as she can about the importance of screening through a colonoscopy.
My family has all been screened, and I hear from people on a weekly basis that say, hey, I've decided to go ahead and get my colonoscopy. That has been my message, is to get the word out that it's not that bad. If you have any symptoms, any warning signs, or a family history, please get it checked. There's just no reason not to.
WCBI is partnering with Fred's Pharmacy for Colon Cancer Awareness Month. You can pick up these free at-home test kits to help detect colon and rectal cancer in its early stages. In Tupelo, I'm Allie Martin, WCBI News.
Now, colonoscopies are able to detect precancerous growths known as polyps, which can be removed before turning into cancer. Coming up after the break, we take a look at some national news surrounding famine in some unexpected areas. Stay with us.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Selena Schaefer.
Welcome back. Parts of our world are suffering from the pains of hunger. Famine is at an all-time high in parts of Africa and the Middle East. For many, there is no relief in sight. Tony DeCouple has that story.
In search of relief, the hungry walk for miles. But without enough food to go around, vast stretches of Africa and the Middle East are now on the brink of famine.
We stand at a critical point in our history. Already at the beginning of the year, we are facing the largest humanitarian crisis since the creation of the United Nations.
On Friday, United Nations humanitarian chief Stephen O'Brien warned world leaders that without a relief effort, millions could die, further destabilizing the region. The crisis is centered on 4 countries and more than 20 million people, including nearly 2 million in Nigeria, 3 million in Somalia, 5 million in Sudan, and 14 million in Yemen. In all, about 1.4 million children face an imminent risk of death, according to UNICEF spokeswoman Marixie Mercado.
Children are dying because of man-made, conflict-affected disasters. In 2017, that's shameful.
While the causes vary by country, war and poverty haunt all 4 nations and have for years. The fatal difference now could be money. The United Nations says it has just 2% of the 5.6 billion it needs to avert disaster. This Somali man said, "We pray to God to alleviate the suffering. Equally, we are asking the humanitarian agencies to help us."
The United States is typically the world's largest provider of humanitarian assistance, but the Trump administration is considering cutting about 40% of the budget from foreign aid, which includes the United Nations. Tony DeCouple, CBS News, New York.
Look at all the sunshine we had in Tupelo this afternoon, our Alpha Insurance time lapse. Now tomorrow, a different story. Clouds, showers, another cool day, a cool week ahead. Details are next.
Your first alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
We had some snow in North Mississippi last night and this morning. Check this out. In Corinth, a little winter wonderland. Now, this lasted for a brief while this morning, and then that sun came on out and got rid of all of that. But I want to show you the visible satellite. You can see the swath of snow from Arkansas to Tennessee, far north Mississippi right there in the northern Alabama. That was a snow swath about 9 o'clock in the morning, and with all that sunshine, it went away pretty fast. That's what happens down here in the deep south. Now, there's another system coming our way with some rain and snow. We're not going to see the snow this time. We will see that shower activity right there in Missouri. So right now, it's a nice quiet night. The full moon is shining, but you will need a jacket for tomorrow. You will need the umbrella to be on the safe side because we'll have a batch of showers move on through. Pretty nice for the middle of the work week, but it's going to stay chilly all week long on this spring break week. Go figure. Now, once again, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, possible freezes as we get into the upcoming work week. Tonight, we're not going to be that cold. We're looking at some mid to upper 30s, but down to freezing or below a couple of nights during the upcoming work week. This is where we stand right now. 45 in Tupelo, 46 in Columbus, 45 in Starkville, 35 in Louisville, give or take 36 in Oxford. So mid-30s to mid-40s right now. We'll drop down to the mid-30s to the upper 30s for the most part during the overnight. Now, we're clear now. Those clouds will fill on in. So when you wake up tomorrow, probably a lot of cloud cover already, maybe a few peaks of sun. Back to around 50 by noon, a lot of showers around here for your lunch hour, and perhaps only in the upper 40s on the backside of some of those showers tomorrow afternoon. So here's Futurecast picking up on the clear conditions right now. Notice the clouds and the showers coming on in as we get into the second half of the morning. This is your noon hour, 1 o'clock, lunch hour. It looks pretty wet here in northeast Mississippi and west Alabama, but those showers go away as we get into the evening hour. So that system zips on in. Look at what's going to come from that system. A big blizzard here in New England tomorrow night and Tuesday. Several feet of snow possible. On the backside, though, we're going to have this cold air continue to come on down here. And this is the big picture for the work week. It's going to be chilly. Here's your 7-day forecast. We're looking at some low 50s tomorrow. Pretty good chance of rain. 50 Tuesday, 49. Are you kidding me? On Wednesday, 53 on Thursday, 58 Friday, St. Patrick's Day, a few more showers, but we moderate for next weekend. Selena?
All right, the Rebels are heading to the postseason. More on the who, what, where, and when next in sports.
WCDI Sports with Tom Ebel.
The SEC tournament didn't turn out how the Ole Miss Rebels would have hoped, but the season does not end for the Rebels in Nashville. Ole Miss is heading to the NIT as a 5 seed. The Rebels will take on Monmouth on Tuesday in New Jersey on ESPN3. We'll have more on that coming up this week on WCBI Sports. Ole Miss finished the season 20-13, losing to Arkansas in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament. Alabama also in the NIT as a 3 seed. They'll take on the Richmond Spiders. The SEC men's basketball tournament came to a close Sunday. It's deja vu from a year ago. Kentucky and Arkansas go mano-a-mano for the second straight year. It'd be all Malik Monk and the Wildcats in this one. Along with Malik Monk, the dazzling freshman De'Aaron Fox to Bam Adebayo. Bam hates rims with the two-hand alley-oop slam. Kentucky up by 12 at halftime. Second half, Arkansas fighting, and this would be the definition of the game. They get the tip in, but look how fast Kentucky gets out in transition. Malik Monk dunks it 3 seconds after Arkansas scores. Kentucky runs Arkansas out of the building, winning its 3rd straight SEC title, 82-65. With Kentucky's win, the NCAA tournament is set. You can go to our website, WCBI.com, to fill out your own bracket for WCBI Bracketology. 5 SEC teams make it to the tournament, including Florida, Kentucky, as we mentioned, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt. We'll have all the March Madness begins on Tuesday with the entry games of the lower seeds. And, of course, we'll have all of that coming up and more throughout the week right here on WCBI Sports. Selection Sunday's coming up tomorrow night on WCBI for the NCAA tournament. Or wait a minute, tomorrow night is the women's selection show, all turned around here on a Sunday night. That Selection Monday is coming up tomorrow night. Mississippi State projected to be a 2 seed in the Stockton region. They'll be hosting 2 games in Starkville. 7 SEC teams are projected to make the tournament, Ole Miss not being projected as one of them. The selection for the women tips off tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. We talked about it a little bit right before while talking about the men's bracket. Go to our website, WCBI.com, and be a part of March Madness with us. You can fill out a bracket, test your basketball knowledge and bracketology against me and sports director Robbie Donahoe, so you get a chance to be a part of March Madness with us. And the winner for the men's bracket and the women's bracket go and win some pretty cool prizes. So make sure you go to our website, WCBI.com, to check it out. Former Houston Hilltopper Denver McQuarrie makes his first start on the mound for the Bulldogs. We'll have highlights of Denver next in sports.
WCBI coverage of the SEC Tournament is brought to you by OCH Regional Medical Center, Advanced Medicine, Compassionate Care, and Ameriprise Financial Advisor Stephen Black in Columbus. Take charge of your dream for a confident retirement with Ameriprise Financial Services.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on WCBI Sports. A soggy Saturday kept the Diamond Dogs off the field, but only for a day as Mississippi State returned to Duty Noble with a former Houston Hilltopper on the mound. That's right, that's Denver McQuarrie making his first start for the Bulldogs. And Denver was throwing the Sunday sauce. Strikes out the side of his very first inning as a starting pitcher for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. How about that? He'd strike out 6 and only give up 1 earned run in 4 innings of work. Time for some run support. Bulldogs up 3-1. Hot hitter was Brant Blaylock. You're going to want to remember Brant's name for a little bit later in the highlight. There's a shot up the middle. That's going to bring in a run. Bulldogs would lead 4-1 through 6. But the game got tight. Columbia giving the Bulldogs a run for their money on Sunday. Here at the top of the 8th, Liam McGill. He's going to rip one to left field. That's going to bring in 2 runs. Columbia is able to tack on 3 in the top of the inning to tie the ball game up late at 4 apiece. But we were talking a little bit early. You might want to remember this guy, Brant Blaylock. He was feeling his clutch Sunday. He had the cape on and everything. Blasts ones out to right field. That would bring in a run, and a walk-off single gives the Bulldogs win in Game 1 of the doubleheader, 5-4. Second game of the day, South Alabama is the next competition for the Bulldogs here on a Sunday doubleheader. Bottom of the 6th, Dustin Skelton. He's going to add to a 3-1 lead with his second hit of the night. The Bulldogs go up 4-1. But just like Game 1, it got a little bit tight towards the end of the game. Here come the Jags of South Alabama. Will Luff starts a 3-run inning with a bomb to left. New Hope's Wells Davis would bring in a run on a walk as well. So it's a close ball game here late, but Brent Rooker, he's like, we're not playing this close game anymore. He absolutely creams one to left. That would start a 4-run inning in the 8th for the Bulldogs to pull away for the 8-6 victory over South Alabama. The Ole Miss Rebels looking to bring out the brooms against Furman Sunday. Freshman Greer Holston on the mound. He'd continue a role of great pitching for the Rebels throughout the weekend. 7 scoreless innings, 6 Ks, and then to run support. It was 0-0 in the bottom of the 8th, but not anymore. Kyle Watson gets on, and Michael Fitzsimmons going to bring him home. That breaks the scoreless streak. It's 1-0 Rebels heading to the 9th inning. Dallas Woolfolk on the mound for Ole Miss. Runners on 2nd and 3rd for Furman. Woolfolk forces a blooper to second. Blackman's got it. He gets the put out. Rebels get its 3rd sweep of the year. They squeak by Furman 1-0. Ole Miss didn't give up a single run throughout that entire series. And that'll do it for your sports. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll have a last year forecast coming up after the break.
All right, some showers tomorrow. You will need your jacket, a rain coat, an umbrella. Cool weather for the middle of the week. Some freezes certainly possible. St. Patrick's Day, a few more showers. And just as spring break comes to an end, Selena, we moderate. So there you go.
There you go. At least you get a little glimpse of spring.
There you go.
All righty. Well, to close out the show, we actually have a glimpse from last night's Golden Triangle Music Awards held at the Trotter. So enjoy and have a great rest of your evening. Take care.
Sweet.